Elysia Rotaru, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And first of all, how are you? How are things in life? You busy right now?
Yeah, I'm good. Life is good. Can't complain.
So, were you affected by the fires, or any family, friends, or anybody in the industry that you know? I've talked to a lot of actors and actresses recently, and with everything going on.
Yeah, no, we actually moved out of LA a few years ago. We're in the Palm Springs area, so we weren't affected physically, personally, but on that, 6 degree of separation, yes. Like I had a lot of people that I know were, and in fact, our best friends were affected in a way where they did not lose their homes, thank God, but they did come stay with us for a few weeks, which sounds glorious, but also not, because you're like, is my house alive? So it was a
Well,
weird time. It was
hopefully, you're
one
still
of those
friends.
weird moments. Oh my God, yes, of course.
Well, you never
I
know.
mean, we started a little commune, like why not?
It's usually, it's usually like
That's
when
the way to
family
start
comes
the
to
year.
visit. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, 2 days. That's it. That's all you're allowed to stay here.
No, yeah. No, these people are magic, so it's all good.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. So I want to start at the beginning with you. You grew up, you have Romanian parents, and you were bilingual, Romanian and English,
Yeah.
which you said was a superpower. So how did that shape your identity and confidence growing up into what eventually you would pursue as a career?
Didn't do shit growing up. In fact, it was a hindrance in my little child mind because, you're a kid. All those thoughts came later. And those realizations happen later as I'm using that skill set as part of my daily life with work, and other things, right? Beyond work. It's just a beautiful asset to have. But it was, looking back, I'm like, oh, I wish I had the confidence I do now as a child to be like, yeah, it's a superpower. And like, it was cool. And it was cool to be weird and different, which I think maybe now these days is like the trend. And hopefully it kind of stays that way and like with some boundaries around it. But I do feel, I do feel really fortunate for my upbringing, even though it was different.
Did you know what you wanted to do from a young age, or did you have other career aspirations before you ultimately ended up getting into acting?
Yeah. Ooh, good one. I mean, like I was all over the place. I was always performing. Like my parents had me in classical piano since I was like 2 is what they told me is when I started, which I was like, I have a 3-year-old. Like I don't think she could do lessons, but whatever. So I was always doing that. And then I was on stage, like performing throughout elementary, high school. And then of course I did that in university as my major in theater. Never thought it would be a career path that I would be doing wholeheartedly every day. Because it wasn't ingrained in our household. Like my parents are Eastern European. It was like, go and be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an architect, like something of those levels, where it's like you need a master's degree and then a PhD. And I don't know, I started kind of having an awakening where I was like, things aren't resonating with me. I had to kind of pave my own way in terms of like not supporting myself financially, but I wanted to like live a good life. I knew that from the very beginning because my parents aspired to do that for my sister and I, and they worked their asses off. And there was something like maybe in my 20s that happened where I was like literally working so many jobs and like putting myself through university and just too much of a split focus, And I didn't really know how to like narrow down and get clarity. And all I was doing was trying to survive, right? And like finish school, get some A's and B's, not drop out. And so the fight or flight response in me is quite strong. And I finished school and, went off and worked, not in theater and not in acting. And then I was at a medical clinic, like out of all places. It was so weird. But I loved medicine and I love the body and I love that science, but I suck at math. So couldn't do that as a career because I couldn't do stats. So all these like things kind of just molded and reinforced maybe the universe being like, you need to just be pursuing performance. So I got scouted one day working at a medical office behind the desk.
No way.
This guy
So the
came up to
stars
me
just
and
aligned.
it was
It was
just
a
one of
sign.
those things. Yeah. And like I was modeling and stuff before. So like I get it. Like I'm comfortable enough in front of this camera, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was great. And that happened like many moons ago in like 2007, 2008. I got my first real on camera agent up in Vancouver, Canada. We were together for a few years, and then my career started, I guess, taking off in Vancouver. Like I was constantly booking, to the point where one day I found myself just acting. And it was hard. It was weird because I was like, oh, I have to quit my bar job, or like
And that's what I was
I
asking. Yeah.
can't.
So you eventually did
Yeah,
quit
like
all your jobs and say, okay, this is
I
my
I
focus.
had
This is my
to.
life now.
Yeah, I had to, and I could. And that was like, I'll pat myself on the back now, because in the moment I didn't, it was just scary as shit. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't have a kid or a dog or a house or a mortgage back then either. But it was like, okay, like this is happening. Like I'm supporting myself financially, and, being able to help my family if needed through my career as a performer. And yeah, it's like every day I have to remind myself that that's what I do. To look back, to be like, oh yeah, bitch, like you're doing it now. Like just remember that, right? Like this is happening. And like, there's a lot of people out there that I speak to that don't have that and aspire for that, but it's something I have, and I'm once again, very blessed, very grateful, and I work my butt off still to maintain it with an amazing team around me. But that's kind of the journey. It was just, yeah, it was a constant like universal pull in weird ways. Like, because during that my 20s era, I was like in Chinese medical school because I wanted to pursue being an acupuncturist. Like, because I love that shit. And then I couldn't finish school. I had to drop out because I booked the show Arrow. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, there is no way that I can sit here and like memorize scripts for the show and memorize like Chinese herbs in Mandarin. Like, and then have to go on a human body the next day to try and like execute that formula. Like it was just too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was actually the breaking point where I'm like, I need to focus. I need to like put all my energy towards that and dive in fully, like fully committed, and just see, hopefully I don't have to live on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So,
and the money will come or whatever.
right. So so you did want to pursue it, but ultimately what happened at the medical clinic was
Yeah.
was a little bit of luck, but I mean, it was kind of like
Yeah.
fate in a way.
Yeah. It was really cool. And I think after that, of course, just auditioning and booking. And then, of course, that's completely out of your control, too. Like, you can audition hundreds, thousands of times, but like booking, who knows? But the
Yeah.
fact that that was generating positively for me um, was really cool. And I think even then at the time, I wasn't really processing what was happening, because it was like, it's a gig, right? Like it wasn't like I was booking a series recurring over and over. It was like co-star here, this, stint over here, guest star here, guest star on all the shows shooting in Vancouver, until, eventually your career becomes a little bit more formidable, and then you can do leads, or someone comes out, like out of the woodworks and is like, here's an offer for an indie and you're the lead. And I was like, oh my God. And so that was a really cool pivot too, where I was like, holy shit, like I'm number one on a call sheet. Like, what does that mean? It
I
was
guess here we go,
weird.
right? This is
Yeah.
my new life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Did your parents at ever point, when you were in school, or even when you were working then, ever say like, hey, um, maybe you shouldn't pursue acting, and maybe you shouldn't quit your job, and
Probably.
always have kind of like that fallback, like maybe that's something you do part time, at night, but not
Yeah,
always full time.
probably. God, I wish I could remember ever having those kinds of conversations with my parents, but I'm very much a like, fuck you person. Like, I'm just going to do my own
They're
thing.
just gonna do
Like,
it.
thanks. Like, I'll just whatever do it. And if I need help, hopefully you'll be there for me because you're my parent. But I don't really know I don't know. Like, my parents and I had like a good relationship. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like the colloquial, like, Western family type, like nuclear scenario you would see with like some of my, friends. Um, but I don't really know how they felt about it. And I don't even really know now. Like, I think they're proud. I'm sure they're proud. Like, I guess they're proud. Yeah. But back then, like, I don't know, it was like, survive or die for me. So I didn't really let anything affect that, if you know what I mean. And I think
Yeah.
maybe pursuing those other things like TCM school or opening up like a reflexology practice like I had in Vancouver, working at the bars, maybe those were just there as that buffer because of their energy about it, and which was ingrained in me too. Um and then when it had to fall away, it did. And like here we are.
Yeah. Do you
I
consider
don't know.
Psych your first big role, or was it Arrow, or what
No,
was it?
absolutely not. Psych was a joke. Like, what a great show, but my role on that was, like, hilarious. I was a glorified background for all I did on set, you know? But it was an actual actor role, so that was cool. Like, there's my first credit.
Oh, there we go.
But, like, leaving set, I was just like, "Is this acting? Like, is this" like, I have, like, no lines. It was just weird. So it was just like, you know, I don't even really remember that experience except for the fact that I like held a lantern and then like left set. And that
That
the
was it.
leads were really nice, you know? But I think after that I booked Eureka actually. And that was a nice kind of stepping stone into the world, like another step up. Um that was cool. Like I had prosthetics done. I was like doing a little bit of like semi stunt work, you know, and like having fun. And on, like a full episode. It wasn't just like, oh, you're in for one day. You're there like for the whole shoot. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I could get used to this. Like this is fun.
Yeah. So it was a natural
Yeah.
progression then, from when you started acting to, um, like with that role, and then eventually on to Arrow and Supernatural and the others.
Yeah, I think, and maybe I'll get backlash for this. I don't know, but that's okay. This is my own experience and thoughts. But I think in Vancouver, growing up there, and even to this day, I think it's still considered a service city. I feel like there's only so much you can do in terms of hitting a ceiling until that ceiling has to break for you or you have to break, right? Like, um, or you just keep hitting it over and over and you're comfortable, or whatever. Um, but I think what was happening with me at that time in the industry, because we have to look at the time of the industry too, because things have drastically changed. There were a lot of opportunities and amazing programs up there filming. So I was, and my colleagues at that time too, we were in a really bountiful era of work in Vancouver where that level up was, I think, available and still probably is today. I don't live there anymore, so I don't know. Um, but at that time, it was like, you would come on as a guest star, as a guest star, as a guest star, and then hope that that guest star would become recurring, and then you moved up to a lead or whatever. Um, so like that's kind of I felt what was happening in my career. I was getting positioned to guest stars, guest stars, guest stars, guest stars, and booking them, which was great, right? Um, and then when it came down to the leads, who knows what happens, right? But I, once again, just going back to an earlier part of the convo, like because I didn't really have a mentor, I had coaches. I came from theater, but I never really thought of it as a career, and I didn't really understand like the game that you can play where it's like this is what I want to do with my career. I didn't know, like I didn't really know that you could really turn down roles, and maybe that was a strong move. And I didn't know that like you could do certain things because I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it that was like, I don't know, a guiding light for me in the field. So I was really, looking at things that maybe seemed out of reach, but they weren't. You just kind of had to make sure that you were around the right people to help you get there. And then eventually that all happened.
So
So,
you were
yeah.
living in Vancouver at the time, right? You were Vancouver based.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
what point
Yeah.
then did you ever then transition, or at what point did you transition and move to LA? And do you feel
Expand.
like that then helped your career, like further
Uh,
your career? Because now
I
you're
don't
in LA, you're in
know.
Hollywood. This is like the major leagues. Not
I
not
want to
that,
say,
I mean, obviously there's a lot of
yeah,
shows
yeah, yeah,
recorded in other cities, and Vancouver's well
yeah,
known for that.
yeah.
But did that then you feel like, oh, this I need to take my career to the next level, and going to LA is
Well,
where I
that
need to be.
yeah, like, that was it. Like, that was always the thing, and everyone I feel like that I'm close enough with will probably agree with me, and it was like, yeah, like, get out of Dodge, get the fuck in LA, like, get that visa, get those papers, book a show, test at a network, and that's what I started when I started, like, understanding that that was a possibility and that was the next level up. I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah," I was, like, saving money for my visa, saving money for my green card, um, pushing my team in Vancouver to align me with teams in LA, and like it became quite an interesting juggle because I had the vision of going one way and then sometimes I wasn't supported, right? And for me, like I mentioned earlier, that doesn't resonate with me. Like I'm like if we can't work as a unit for the purpose of like growth together, what's the point? So I felt like I was hitting a lot of roadblocks with teammates, right? And so eventually we had to part ways or whatever, and I had to align with people that felt the same vibe. Um, but the irony of it all is, even though I started on camera, the thing that really brought me to the US was the on camera work and the body of work I collected in Vancouver. But what has been really propelling me here is my voiceover career. Which makes me giggle and laugh, but it's so weird. So like now I don't know, like I don't even know how to answer the other part of your question because I hate to say it and it makes me sad and I could cry, but like I haven't been on set on camera in a few years because I believe with my move into the US, um, there are a lot of restrictions and boundaries, bureaucratically speaking. I hate to say it, right? So I don't live in Canada anymore. I'm not a Vancouverite local anymore. And that takes you out of the playing field to a certain level. And now I'm in the playing field of, like you said, the big fish. So the competition net has now drastically expanded. But the reward does the same, right? So I think it's a strategic thing that a lot of people, you know, don't really know or think about on the other side. And I have conversations with my team about this a lot because I still have my agent in Vancouver and she's amazing. And, she's like, well, a lot of the stuff here is casting locally. Like, will you come back as a local player? And I'm like, no, like, I can't do that. Like, especially not right now. Like, that doesn't resonate with me. Like, I don't feel like a move back up there is what I'm wanting at
And
the
you wouldn't
moment.
do that, like,
Unless
even if it was traveling back and forth, or is it
we did
different
that.
now?
I did it. I
Probably,
did it for
from
a
earlier in your
while.
career to now being married, having a child, and all of that.
Exactly that. I did it when I was, single, or not single. I was with my partner, but we weren't married. I was back and forth from LA every other week, and I felt so fucking cool. I was like, I'm going to LA, going to Vancouver to work. And I
Peace
was
out,
spending so
hometown.
much money. Yeah, like, and it was really cool. And I think it really did like boost me and like my aura of like, wow, I'm actually fucking doing this to a different level that I didn't have before. But after we came back to the States in 2021, to permanently be here, yeah, I have a family now. I have a dog, I have a husband, and like the energy is different. And don't get me wrong, I will move back up to wherever I need to go if it's for the right project that elevates the career to the next level. Right? So that's kind of like the strategic mindset that I'm in terms of the on-camera work, because it takes a lot out of you. Like physically, you're on set hours and hours and hours a day.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting conversation because like I also then battle with the FOMO of being away from my kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's natural as a
And
mother, right?
I guess, and just also my partner, like, do I want to be away from them for 5 or 6 weeks shooting a movie? Is there a room in the budget to have production fly my family with me? I don't know. Is there room in budgets these days anyway for anything? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
who
It
knows?
doesn't sound like it, right? Like, it sounds like everything's always like tight. So for me, those are the big things, is like, my husband and I try not to stay away from each other for more than, it's like that 2-week rule you hear couples that are working talk about. Like, we have a time limit and then we come back together. I think that's very important. Also with my little kid, like, I don't want to have that FOMO of like missing her formidable little growth spurt moments. But then I want to do what I love. So, if there was opportunities where it's like, okay, you have to locate to North Carolina because you're on Righteous Gemstones, I'd be like, fuck yes, guys, we are moving to North Carolina. Like, I'd be like, guys, we're moving to North Carolina. Like, that's like, that would be a big company move. You know what I mean? Or if it were to happen for my husband, who's also in the industry, like, we would make that shift 100%.
So there are certain projects or opportunities that you would move
100%,
for. But it would have to be like a permanent move with your family, not going back and forth and all of that.
I think going back and forth could be a reality. It would just, once again, have to be the right project. And like, does it make sense for my career? Like, am I really going to go up and do that project and, like, not enjoy it because I'm thinking of other things? I'm open to all of it. It's just what are the line items of the project? And I've noticed over the years with things changing, those line items that you probably are referencing, that I'm thinking of back in the golden times of like Hollywood times, those kind of have become like non-existent or very stringent. Like, gone are the good old days when, like, I was talking to a friend of mine months and months ago where she was like, oh yeah, like, I would fly out for a show and then my whole family would put it in my contract that my family would fly up with me. I'm like, will that still happen these days? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because if you think about those expenses, like, that's a lot of money. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of just neat to see the way the industry is like turning over these last few decades, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to get to your voice acting career, but I just want to ask one more question about acting.
That's okay. Yeah.
For the show Arrow.
I'm like, I hope this conversation is not going too Debbie Downer about it. I'm like,
No, it's interesting because honestly, I don't think I've ever gotten like this deep with an actor, like in their career and reflecting on their life. So it's an interesting perspective. You definitely offer different.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
So your role with Arrow. So what was it like stepping into a world with such a huge like comic book franchise and the fan base for the show and that whole aspect of it?
Oh my God. It was really cool. I think what was amazing about that was, like I mentioned before, because there were so many like CW comic book shows filming in Vancouver at that time in my career. I had the luxury of like being on Smallville before that and Supernatural before that and like even Eureka, right? So I already kind of got a flavor of like that world of energy from the outside, like the fans, the big sets, like all that jazz. And so coming onto Arrow, I was ready. Like I was definitely ready, but not ready. Like I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And I loved the fact that I had the backbone of a comic book. But what was difficult is that it wasn't always, as we know, taken out of the pages of the comic book. Like everything is like written for that medium of TV. So a lot of the stories that I was trying to find tangibility with from my character and like Stephen Amell's character, I did find, but then it was like totally different, right, on the day and just in general for the show. But it was so much fun. Like that's where I got to really play a lot on that show physically. And I love that. Like I'm a physically trained actor. So being able to do a lot of the majority of my action sequences was such a dream for me. Like I would come home like bruised and battered, but exhausted and just like, okay, fuck yeah, like that was cool, and just the people that I met there that I really enjoyed, like Jimmy Akingbola. I got to work with him. He's on like the new Bel Air. We stayed in touch since we met on that show. And like, that's for me, like such a win. And Stephen Amell too, like we're not best friends at all, but like, I was able to reach out to him during the production and he was one of the people that did help me with my visa process. as a candidate of support. And I was like, wow, like that's really cool, you know? So those kinds of things, I think that time in my career was definitely being on that show was the thing, you know, where it kind of puts your name on the board, as they say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was a great and crazy energy on that set because they were doing, man, that crew, like shout out to that crew. I, like I bow down to that crew and like all the crews that do shows and films like that. Like what warriors. Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
And then as part of the show, you traveled around for Comic Cons. What was
Yeah.
it like then meeting fans like that in person on a show,
Uh
or from a
it
show,
was
that kind of
I
fan
think
base?
that's almost more overwhelming than being on a set. That's the I like some people are like, "Oh yeah, Comic Cons." And I love going and meeting people, but I think what throws me off is because I'm not like a super nerd with the comic book world. Even when I like have people reach out to me about like Black Canary stuff for the voice work, I'm just like, "Oh, like I'm caught in like the headlights and I'm just like, I don't know like how to answer that because I just went in and did the job and then I left." Like, so I think that was always the fun, weird part for me was how excited people were. And then I always want to be able to reciprocate and mirror that energy back for them and say thank you. But I always get caught off guard sometimes when I had like super duper super fans that were just like asking these questions. And I'm like, how do I break it to you that I just truly don't know? And then I just had to literally just say that. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like now this is the answer. I don't know.
Were they asking like about the show, or it was just like creeperish, like,
Oh,
I'm stalking you type?
all of it. Like
All
just
of it?
intricate detail stuff about like in episode
Oh my
3012
God.
or 312, like when this happens and then I see it again in your season. Like, did you know about that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just like
I shot that so long ago.
fans.
How am I supposed to remember that? Yeah.
100% too, where I'm just like, I don't really even remember a lot because I try to let it like fade away. But
Oh
yeah.
man, that's
No,
funny.
but I love it. The Comic Cons are great. Yeah, they're so much fun.
Yeah, every time they have one, I've never actually been to one, but they have some in my city. And I'm like, they always seem like they would be fun to go to. Not that like I'm a fan of like any of these shows. I guess like
Yeah.
the one I would go to, like the '90s con. When you have all those like celebrities from the '90s
Yes.
there. And I'm like,
I would go to that.
right, because it brings you back to childhood, and you're like, oh, I remember,
Yes.
when you were on this show, because you were so much part of my childhood.
Yes.
That
Where are
makes it
you
worth it.
based? Where are you at?
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
There's a lot
sometimes
of
they
Comic Cons
have
out
some
on
here.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's great.
I think they just
Oh,
had one like
God,
it was
yeah.
like last year. It was a '90s con where they had a bunch of actors here. Yeah. So one of these years I will go to it.
Yeah. Well, that was with me when I went to a con and I met the Power Rangers that I used to watch.
Oh, really?
And
Oh,
they were
that's
like
awesome.
at the tables beside me, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like things like that, where I was like, ah.
You're like fangirling to like fellow actors next to you, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Why is
it's
she
like I'm
doing
like,
that? She's
hold my
she's
spot at
an
my
actress
table.
herself."
Yeah. It's true.
All right. So and then your voice acting career, I want to talk about that. You're the voice of
Sure.
many, many commercials, Marvel's Avengers, FIFA. I saw the Domino's ad as of late, the Acura ad. So what initially drew you to that part of the industry? And yeah, just talk
Oh
about that.
man. Once again, a story where the universe was like, here you go.
The universe aligned.
Literally, I was at an industry party for on-camera stuff in Vancouver in 2010, 2009, around there. And I met a gentleman there named Alistair Abel, who is responsible, I always say this, for launching my voiceover career. He's an actor and a casting director in Vancouver, and he brought me in and like at the party, we were chatting and he's like, you're hilarious. I'm like, I know. Like, you need to totally just whatever. We were like shooting the shit. So we were like at the party talking and like shooting the shit. And he was like, okay, I'm going to bring you in for a casting. And I was like, okay. And he brought me in and I've never been on the mic before. I mean, the concept seems pretty foreign, but it felt pretty natural to me. Like I was like, oh, okay. So he's like, you keep your mic distance. Like this is how you measure. He gave me like the basic 101 of like, this is how you do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he went on the other side of the glass and directed me. And I think I booked that job. I don't know if I did. I'm gonna say I did book it,
We'll
but
go with
he
it.
might
We'll go with it,
remember. Yeah. And I just kept booking, and I just kept booking voiceover jobs. And I was having so much fun in the booth because it kind of like tapped into the theater stuff where I was like free and like getting able to like do things and like play differently than I would on camera. And it just never stopped. I just loved it so much. And and now we're here. So it just kept happening. And, God, yeah, like I said, I got my visa, moved down to the US, and ended up signing with an amazing team in the US that I've pretty much been with since that's almost going to be 10 years, I think, down here. And just keep looking, onward and upward.
I'm
Like,
sure.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
it's just been great. No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, and it's probably gonna be great that you don't have to like do hair and makeup and all of that. You can just roll into the sound booth
Yeah,
and record, right?
you can. Although I do like to prime myself for the day.
You still do.
Like I still do. Don't get me wrong. Some days I roll up and I look like a total scrub, like literally bedhead, and I'm in here. Depending
I
on
feel
my
like
session
COVID
time.
changed everything. It was just like, oh man, I can just record this. Great, I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't have to put on
did.
any like clothes and like makeup and all of that.
No, it was crazy. And I, fortunately, I was very set up with a home studio pre-COVID, but also, yeah, that time in itself was wild. Like I was so, it was just so crazy that I was like in a booth already, and that happened for the world. So I was ready to rumble, and we did. And now we're on the other side of it. But yeah, it's been, voice work. Wow. Like I'm always just in awe, like that I get to do this every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Do you ever like hear yourself in a commercial, like acting and be like, wait, that's my voice?
I do, and I always catch it at the end. I never really click in. I'm very slow to it because I'm just doing something else or whatever. And then I'm like, oh shit, that was my spot. And I'm like, rewind it, or like, oh, what was it? And my husband's like, yeah, I guess that was like, he does the same where I guess we just tune out. But I get a lot of colleagues and friends being like, dude, I'm hearing you here. I heard you do this. And like, I'm like, oh, that's so fun. Like video it for me. Cause I don't really watch a lot of TV at home.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't really game either, but I'm in a lot of video games. So like that's always awkward too, where like I'm like, oh, what does the work sound like at the end of the day? Like sometimes I just don't know a lot of the time unless I go on YouTube Twitch streams. You know what I mean? Or I'm like looking at what people have posted. So yeah, sometimes it's like I just do the work and I'm like, where did it go? What is the work? Like, I don't know.
I will say the one like strange voiceover story. So I had Susan Bennett on the show. She was the original voice of Siri, of Apple Siri.
Yes.
And
yes.
And she would talk about that, like her son, like every time his friends would give him crap about it because every time, like, you would hear the Apple Siri, it was like her voice. He would be like so bothered by it that like everywhere you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think I came close to almost booking the Alexa voice.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's cool.
Yes, like very close. And we were like, is this going to be cool? Is it going to be fucking weird?
Right.
Yeah, like I'm already the voice of a vehicle in Vancouver. It's called Evo Car Share.
Oh, no way.
And the amount of times I get messages from my friends or people being like, I'm inside you. You're a great ride.
Like you're the voice in the commercial, or you're like actually the voice of the car?
Of the car.
So if you're in the car, you push, whatever button.
You open the door.
Your voice pops up. Oh, no way.
Yes. Yeah, I had a friend like when that car launched in Vancouver. It's like it was hilarious. I think he called me at 3 a.m, or he was like, "You're a great ride. Like I'm inside you right now." And I'm like, "Ew, like what the fuck are you talking about?" My husband's like, my boyfriend at the time, he's like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, oh, it's just my buddy. Like, you know him too. And
Just
he's
a
like, why
drunk
is he
dial. That's
saying,
all.
yeah, he's like, why is he saying this? I'm like, he's in the car. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I'm like, you
Well, at
know,
least
my
your boyfriend
publicist
knew
is
about it at
always
the time, and knew
100%,
what you meant
100%.
by it.
Oh yeah, like Ashley's always like sending me videos because like, you know, I think they have voiceover recordings that we've done where it's like
Oh, that's wild.
Halloween themed or like Valentine's Day themed, and I say shit like, "You're looking great, sweetheart." Like just cheeky comments.
Yeah.
So anyway, if I did book the Alexa thing, I don't know, like that would be weird because that's already weird, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
who knows?
Do you, so is there any like character, whether it's acting or voiceover, that you would love to play? That would be like a dream role of yours, or
Oh my
collaboration,
God.
or someone you'd like to work with?
Oh, oh, I should have prepared mentally for this question. I haven't been asked this question in a long time. Um, I mean, my first impulse is always like Quentin Tarantino. Like, let's go to town. Love him, love his work. I like every John Wick movie that I see just inspires me more and more and more to like go hit the gun range and keep training for like that type of work. Um, and God, I don't know. I don't really have like one like person where I'm like, oh, I need to make this happen with them. But I feel like if there's a role that would allow me to transform completely, not into like a caricature, but even just like perhaps like even like a Tim Burton kind of vibe, like on Wednesday, like the show Wednesday, like, oh, that would be a cream dream. Like I love that. Or where you have to like just really, you know, like beef up and like hit the gym, like something where you just have to dedicate to have a body transformation. I feel like that would be a really interesting thing to pursue. I haven't had roles like that come to me before. Like I wonder if the universe is just like, nah, we're not going to do this with you. But I think it would be fun, you know, like I'm also just I'm kind of like out of that mental play space, which is sad, where I would sit there and used to think about like, oh, I want to work with this person and that person and this person. And it's just been so hard for me to lately do that. And I don't know if it's because of the energy around, like in the world, like to have that fantasy dream. And God, I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer again. I'm so sorry. But
No.
it's always aspiring when I see, like right now I was watching The Studio.
Oh, yes,
Love
yes.
it.
I watched that. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. But like, you know, the shows that I'm watching right now, like to answer your question, if I'm going to do it, like I'd love to be on Righteous Gemstones. Danny McBride, love to work with him. I've always loved his shit. I've loved his humor. I loved how crass it is. I just love that. Like, so things like that. And now as I'm getting older, I'm like, yeah, like I could play that. I would love to play something like that. So those types of roles, 100%. Like I'm open to it. You know, it's more just like there's so much content out there. So sometimes I'm just like, how do I fantasize about who I want to work with?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like there's so many players, right? There's so many people. And I just really hope that I align with the ones that we need to be aligning with together to make something magic happen.
Even if it shoots in Vancouver?
Yeah, or even if they're an up and comer, you know, and like that's kind of the problem too, is like,
Yeah.
bring it on, Vancouver. Don't get me wrong, there's a project I auditioned for that shoots in Vancouver that I'm like, I want to book this so bad because it shoots in Vancouver, because it would be so great to be up there for 3 months, bring my family up and see my family up there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and represent, but come up there for a lead player. Like that, and that would be the
That makes
cream
sense.
dream. It would be like, hey, bitch, I'm in town. I'm shooting a show. Like, I'm one of the leads. Let's go out for dinner and like take
Oh,
my
homecoming.
team, take my family, and like let's all party and celebrate. Like that to me is more the end game cream dream that I have, as opposed to like, ooh, like this is who I want to work with. I want to just feel that type of joy and excitement again, but for the greater purpose of like spreading it amongst my friends and family.
Being able to
As
share it with them.
opposed to it, Yes, like
Yeah.
that. Maybe that's just I'm at that place now, and I've always been at that place. For me, it's more fun when everyone's kind of on the ride and I get to work with my friends. Like nothing brings me more joy than stepping onto a set and it's like my fucking friend is my co-star. And I had that experience once with my girlfriend Farah, and her husband directed us, and it was like a Hallmark Christmas movie. Absolutely loved it. We were in the middle of nowhere in Ontario, freezing. Who gives a shit? I had like every day I would wake up, I'm like, I'm going to set to work with one of my best friends. This is so cool. Like, that's the thing that keeps me going, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it totally
Um,
makes sense.
to answer your question, I don't know if I did, but those are the things I aspire to more than, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, Quentin Tarantino, I'd love to work with you, but like, can we hire other people I know too?
All
So
right. If
it's
he's
like
out
an
there and listening,
incestuous
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
proposal is there for him.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves, where are you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. What do you think it's easier now to be discovered than maybe earlier on in your career? Where maybe,
Ooh.
when you think back of like maybe you have to send out a demo reel to a bunch of studios to get discovered, where now I feel like you put anything on TikTok or YouTube and be discovered that way. Do you think there's more like saturation now because you can put so much stuff out there, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle?
This is where I need to put tequila in this drink to answer that. Holy shit, Larry. What a bomb of a question. My God. How many more hours do you have? Um, that's a really loaded and beautiful question. I wish I had the chutzpah to answer it properly because I'm not like on the casting side. I'm not on the producing side on that level yet. But I don't know. I mean, I've heard mixed reviews from mentors that I know, being like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I have a friend who is an influencer manager. Are they making a shit ton of money? Sure. Are they breaking into film and TV? I don't know. I think what makes me sad, not upset, but sad, is that this is still, in my mind, a craft. Like acting is still a craft. Um, I still think there needs to be some sort of like respect and discipline around the craft you do to honor it and have a good time. But does social media and like, is it easy to get discovered through that? Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. What are you trying to get discovered for? And are you being discovered by the right people? Like, I don't know.
Right, right, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's kind of
it's a
yeah.
tough answer.
Yeah, and I think
I don't know.
there's some overlap. I mean, obviously there's a craft of acting. And when I think, we were talking about the 90s earlier, there were like big
Yeah,
iconic shows then that everyone knew about, everybody watched. Now there's some
yeah,
great shows.
yeah,
It's more I don't know if I would say saturated, but there's a
100%.
lot more popular streaming services, so it's more than just the big three networks that are putting out the
Yeah,
content. But then on top of that, you have, like you mentioned, influencers that if I've got 2 million followers, then there's my audience right there. I don't need a streaming service or network to back me. However,
yeah,
I think, you can just put whatever you want out there, not have learned the craft of acting to be able to get that
yeah.
following and get that fame and that money.
It's true. And I think that's what I was, echoing to what I was saying way earlier in the convo. Like, times have changed like a lot, and the industry has changed to survive. And so have we had to do the same, right? I think what I'm seeing a lot is like things getting lost in the shuffle. That conversation about like, do people look at social media followers to hire you? I don't, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what really matters anymore. Um, and there's a lot of things I read in the trades, and just, as a mom now too. Yes, my kid is little, but I'm like trying to like educate myself on like the alpha generation, the Gen Z generation still, like, and just be like, where are they at? What are people wanting? Like, where is everyone plugged in? Do they want to watch YouTube shorts, or do they want to watch a 2-hour movie? What does the movie have to have? So like, and then there's always, from the voiceover side, I keep hearing about something called second screen. And I don't know if you know about this concept, but like, is your programming good enough so it's not second screen? And what that is like, oh, here's my phone. I don't even know where my phone is right now. But like, you know, you're watching a movie and there it is. We see this all the time, right? We're doing this and then this happens.
Yeah.
So the show becomes second to the screen. So you have to wonder, like, what's so cool about this screen? Or is it just the addiction to the screen? So, like, I don't know, you know, and I'm taking this in a different way, but like to get discovered, to go back to your, I don't know, like, I would love to know if people are getting discovered that way and having their careers launch. I think maybe YouTube is the platform still that started that for people, for sure. I think it might still be the only like one with integrity, you know, where like it keeps its fans going and like pays out for the people that are viewing and like have their platforms. But I don't know. That's such a loaded, awesome question.
Yeah, and I think you're right though about YouTube, because there is still long form content out there, but but there's still short form content. And I think maybe I'm just being
Yeah.
being a negative millennial, but it's
No.
but part of it is I think too, like just attention span now. Now it's, you know, it's 30 seconds, it's 45-second clips. If it's longer than that, I'm just going to swipe to the next video, you know, because I don't have to
Yeah.
wait for a commercial or something else to come on, you know, to grab my attention.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to hear me sell you something. Like an Acura.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
remember
yeah, no, I get it. That's a really damn good question. Like, I wonder how you conjured that one up. Like, what were you thinking about when? But like, it yeah, I don't know. And I probably would know. Like, I used to mentor and teach acting. I was always like had my finger on the pulse that way, but I don't really do that a lot anymore these days. So I'm totally kind of out of that loop. So what
Yeah.
I'm getting fed in of the information is through social, is through like newsletters, you know, things like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And conversations I have with people on the ground. But from what I'm hearing, you know, it's like it's fucking tough out there. Like, you know, teams are having a hard time even getting people that are already established work. Because I think what's been happening, and we've been seeing it too, is like the A-listers that we know as A-listers are down, and I'm not saying down here and like, oh, this is bad, but they're down here on that Netflix platform doing short form series, like limited series. Like I think De Niro was on a Netflix series,
Yeah.
like a limited series. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was just like,
Uh,
is he
Yeah.
doing a limited series on Netflix? He is. That's amazing. The taxi driver. You know,
That
so
is
you're
him,
just
right? It's not like an AI or deep fake, you know.
oh my God, where
That's
are
a
you
whole other
taking this
thing.
conversation?
Sorry, yeah, we're not. Yeah, we won't get into that today.
We'll have that conversation on your other podcast.
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
I did interview the guy who created the Tom Cruise deep fake for TikTok.
No
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
What happened to him?
No. I mean, he had created it, and they had reached out to Tom Cruise's people quite a few times, but they never really got a response, and never got any like cease and desist orders. So, yeah, it was like a local actor that was doing the parts, and then they take video clips of Tom Cruise, and you think it's him. Yeah, it was the guy that
And
basically
nothing
created this.
bad
Chris
happened
Lemay.
to the guy who made it? Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's really good
That's
in
scary.
deep fakes and AI and all of that. And that was this was like a couple of years ago. I'd interviewed him, but yeah, it was
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
That would have been an interesting conversation to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we won't get into
Man,
that.
that's
today.
crazy. Yeah, no. Call me about that later.
But
Yeah.
but speaking of the industry, so what advice would you give to somebody then that would want to follow in your footsteps, enacting voiceover, what have you, or maybe it is, you know, just on the social side, but pursuing their career and their dreams, much like you did.
Oh my God. I think the biggest first thing I would say is find a mentor. I wish I never had that. Like I just kept looking around, right? And when I say mentor, I mean someone that you're not going to harass all the time unless you do it lovingly and they don't give a shit. But like someone that you really trust, that's plugged in, that's like truly there and like open and honest about the journey. And maybe hopefully they're not a curmudgeon, you know? Because that's a tough thing to find people that aren't too tainted. But I think that's always a good thing to have in any craft, right? Like the way that you level up is by playing with the best players. And then you become one, and then maybe you die, or I don't know what, but you stay there,
That's the way
right?
to look at it.
So, yeah, I don't know, or you just fall into an AI sleeve and like live forever. Next podcast combo.
There's that too.
But like, yeah, We'll do a little bit of upload. So I think that that's a very important thing. And also like finding your market, like what turns you on, like specifically if we're going to talk about voiceover, I wish I could plug like sign up for my newsletter and subscribe, but I'm not ready for that yet. But a lot of the time I get asked, it's like, how do I get into VO? If we're going to keep it onto that category, it's like, what turns you on? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do commercials? Do you want to do animation? Do you want to do video games? Do you want to do anime? And then I would say, like, hone in on that. And then find the people in that world that help support that. Find the right agents, the agencies that love that. Look at your own diverse toolkit, aka your body and your skill set and your voice. What do you have to offer that could be different? And if you think that different is just like, oh, I can sound like this. No, I mean different, like how unique are you? And like all those weird things that you think are weird about you or you don't like about you actually could be an asset for you. So I feel like if you're someone listening and you're just like maybe lacking confidence or something or judging yourself about something, use that and turn it into a positive. Because that's probably the thing that's gonna fucking kill it for you if you can work with it and not have it work against you. And then just get a really nice turtle shell and get ready for rejection. And make sure it doesn't kill you, like that's just the industry and what it is.
So
like
niche,
the amount
mentor.
of auditions.
Yeah. So niche, mentor, and then rejection. That's the key to success.
I don't know. Yeah, there it is. There's my little fucking Elysia soup. But I would say like lately, that's kind of like, even for me, what I have to be thinking about. And then just like keep finding the joy in your life. Like I think the joy should always just be like a sub foundation for anything, make sure you're still having a good time. It is stressful. It's a stressful industry, period. Like you're literally getting literally rejected every day, but you don't know it, but maybe you do. And it could be a lot on some people. So I think you need to have a good head on your shoulders. That's why I'm saying like you need to find a good mentor, like a good team or whatever that is for you, and have a life. Like make sure you do have a life. That's something I struggle with still, is like, what do I do for fun?
That was actually one of my questions, but I won't ask that.
I don't.
All about balance, right?
Nothing. No, I garden. I have, I do like to be outside a lot. I used to have a lot of fun things that I used to do, but it's funny because I was thinking about that today. I'm like, I need to have more fun. But I think, for anyone that's listening that wants to get into it, it's a tough biz. The business has changed. My husband and I talk about it every day, how it's not the business it was when we started, or what inspired us to start. Like for him, it was the show Entourage. Do you remember that show?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I loved Entourage.
And right? And we just started watching it again. I've never seen it completely. I've seen episodes here and there. And we always joke. And I'm like, oh, man, I wish I had an Ari Gold. And it's like, can you even fucking say that anymore these days? Like, I don't know. But like.
Yeah, and Jeremy Piven was great in that character, too.
Yeah. Yeah, like would Ari Gold even exist in the world of agents these days? Like, I don't know. But that would be like my person. So that's kind of how we look at it. So it's a different time. I feel like I need to take a course actually to answer your question.
Oh, no.
How do you break in, Because it's pivoted a lot and it's still fun. You just have to be able to keep up, I think.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Or it kicks you out or you get kicked out, because there's factors that or you get pulled out, I'm not sure.
But I'm sure it's like any other industry, you pursue your dreams and, some, no matter what industry you're in, some just go to the top and make it huge and some have a successful career in it. Maybe not, A-list or whatever industry you're in. But, they have a good life with it, whatever industry they're in, and they enjoy what they do.
Yes. I mean, there's no other way to really think about it. Like I literally sit here every day and I'm like you just said, I'm like, I think I have a great career to the fact like I look around and I can support my entire family and that makes me really happy. And I can provide and I still have fun doing it. And of course there's goals and things you want to hit, but coming into the biz as a person that's like really starting out, I've I have talked to people over the years and they've been doing great. Like, actually, ironically, my neighbor literally has a son and he is a voice actor, and he ended up, starting a few years ago, and now he's like in the union booking video games, crushing it. And I'm like, yes, bro.
He's your
Like,
competition now.
100, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But in
well,
a good
sort
way.
of, Yeah, but he's a dude, so we sound different. But like, I just love that. Like, I love that he stuck, is doing it. And like, I literally saw him the other day while he was helping me with my backyard patching up some grass. And we were talking about it. So I love that. And like, yeah, it also just depends what your goals are, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's wise for people to have like ambitious goals, but also know it's like playing the stock market, right? Like, big wins, big falls. Like,
that's right. And you got to take a chance.
Yeah. And you got to be ready for it up here. But
yeah. I just want to give you a chance to plug anything you're working on. What's next for you in the future? Anything you can't talk about? I don't know.
Oh my God, I can't talk about so many things because it involves things in the union. But
okay. Well, when it comes out, tag me in it and we'll promote it on socials. So
everyone can just creep my socials and it'll be there.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I booked a great car commercial campaign this year to start it off, which was so much fun. I love doing commercial work. And I am actually so happy. There is a animated series coming out this fall that I've been working on. It's called Sloan and the Cosmic Schlep. Sloan and the Cosmic Schlep. I try to say it with this weird little accent, but it's just Sloan and the Cosmic Schlep.
Well, that's just hard to say like 10 times in a row.
Say it. I know.
Say it. No,
I'm
not even attempting.
I'm smiling when you have to like not smile, like Sloan and the Cosmic Schlep. But I play Sloan, and it's a fun, amazing story. Earth woman gets snatched up into space, coming out this fall. You'll just have to follow my socials and see what happens. But that's a big one for me because I do a lot of work on the mic, but breaking into animation still is one of those things for me, even where I'm like, let's get on that. And here we are. So I can't wait for everyone to see that because that's been a labor of love for everyone involved.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see that one. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really beautiful. And there's a great cast. Jonathan Frakes is in it. Good old Star Trek. I love that show. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. And then otherwise, unfortunately, at the moment, there's a bunch of stuff coming out, but I mean, people can catch me on, games like Avowed, Homeworld 3, Starship Troopers Extermination. You can play all those. Let me know how it goes. 'Cause I don't game. Tag me in clips. I want to see it.
Yeah.
No. I would love to see if I could play a video game. That would be a big fail.
Where you're in it. Yeah. Where your voice is in it. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Elysia, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. And best of luck to you in your career. I look forward to following it.
Thanks, Larry. You're such a pleasure to chat with.